Boom! Wait a minute. What happened to my color? Where did these old trucks come from? I thought I was going to Springdale, Arkansas. So, how did I end up here? Looks like my travel machine took me too far back, and I'm around 1920 and put me in front of a fleet of Jones Transportation Company modern trucks and drivers. Just look at them. Uniforms and hats. I guess it did take me to Emma Avenue in Springdale, Arkansas, after all. Well, I wanted to talk about Jones Truck Lines, and I think I've gone back in time further than I wanted to be. So, since I'm still in the right town, I might as well go on and talk about Jones Truck Lines, and later on I'll talk about another Fallen Flag series released by DCP of a Jones Truck Lines IH Transtar II. I've done videos on many of the Fallen Flag series, and you can watch them with the playlist link in the description. So go watch them when this video is over. And make sure you subscribe because I've got a treat for you next week with another Fallen Flag series release. Mr. Harvey Jones started out in 1918 with a pair of mules and a wagon hauling freight. In 1919, he sold his mules and wagon to buy his first truck. It was used. He kept his customers happy with fast service. A stroke of luck in 1920 came about when there was a railroad strike, which gave Jones a new route to cover while the railroad was shut down. In 1933, Harvey changed the name of the company from Jones Transportation to Jones Truck Lines and built a new terminal in Springdale. 1948 rolls around and Jones Truck Lines buys Breeding Motor Freight Line, expanding territory west to Oklahoma City and other parts of Oklahoma. This acquisition made Jones Truck Line the largest privately owned carrier in the United States. By 1954, Jones Truck Lines trucks had covered a total of 9 million miles. But this milestone was nothing compared to what was to come. In 1957, a new corporate office building was built in Springdale to accommodate the expanding company. The growth gave Jones Truck Lines 21 terminals in 8 states. Remember the 9 million miles covered before? Well, in 1968, Jones trucks were covering 50,000 miles every day. Growth would continue for the company. However, age and deteriorating health led Harvey Jones to sell off Jones Truck Lines in 1980. Sun Oil, well, now known as the Sun Company, bought Jones Truck Lines. The story doesn't end here. Sun continued to operate and expand Jones Truck Lines in the 1980s. Unfortunately, Jimmy Carter's Deregulation Act in 1980 would eventually claim another victim in 1991. Jones Truck Lines filed for bankruptcy in 1989 and limped along until 1991 when doors were closed for good. So sad, but it was a common tune in the 80s and 90s as so many carriers just couldn't compete in the new deregulated world. This Fallen Flag series release pays tribute to a one-time largest privately owned carrier in the United States and Springdale, Arkansas's benefactor and philanthropist, Harvey Jones. I will talk a little more about Harvey and his foundation after the product review. So, let's hope we can jump back to the rock quarry and talk about the DCP by First Gear's Fallen Flag Series IH Transtar II.
And here we go. This is the International CO 4070B Transtar II cab over pulling a 40-foot dry van trailer, their vintage dry van, for Jones Truck Lines, Inc. of Arkansas. It is a DCP by First Gear release in their Fallen Flags series. Item number on this guy is 60-1067. And there it is, out of the package. Isn't that sharp? The orange over black cab and the silver trailer with the Jones Truck Lines logo in black, white, and red. I think this is a sharp looking truck and one of the better looking ones they've made. Still, my favorite of the Fallen Flag series is the Howard Johnson's truck, and you can see my video on that one with the link down below. Now let's start off with the trailer. This is DCP's vintage trailer, which is the first vintage trailer they came out with, the 40-foot dry van. They also offered it as a reefer. It has Jones Truck Lines logos painted right there in the center, and it has a Drive Safely placard right there on the side. Yellow, and red for amber and red roof clearance lights are all that are on this side. Very simple design, but looks really cool. It rides on 5-spoke Dayton wheels, silver center caps, silver rims, and then black spokes. Mounted on those rims are very nice soft rubber tires. They have a drive tread pattern instead of a trailer tread pattern, but that's okay. It has air brake canisters on the axles, a semblance of working suspension, spare tire carrier in the spare tire rack. This loop here was to hold the air lines that go to the axles because it slides. Screw down type landing gear, which is standard for their trailers, and a kingpin good for DCP, First Gear, Advantage Diecast, or Neo Scale Models trailers. Roof on this guy is just plain silver. Cutting over to the back, right here, we have another Drive Safely placard tampoed on. The Jones Truck Lines Inc. logo, Springdale, Arkansas. Little different logo than on the sides, but still looks cool. Black lettering, white letters, and yellow and red. Really nice. Trailer number of 4850 painted on this door. It has brake lights and turn signals. Mud flaps this time are just plain black. They don't have any logos on them. And then the doors do open to show off a nice vintage dry van interior. All wood sides, wood floors. Passenger side of the trailer looks just like the driver's side. Jones Truck Lines Inc., silver side, and the Drive Safely placard. Round on the front, we get the same Jones Truck Lines logo that was on the back door, trailer number 4850, and the Drive Safely placard. Place for hookups, and really nice trailer. Now for the tractor. This is the International CO 4070B Transtar II. It has the Transtar II logo there, Jones Truck Lines logo on the door, and its numbers right there, DOT, ICC, and all that. Grab bars here are just wire loops, tampoed. Grab bars here are just wire and then bent and put in place. The vent door is silver. Mirrors are chrome. The roof air horns are chrome. And the deck plates on the back are chrome. And that's all the chrome on this guy. The rest is just painted. Black fuel tanks, battery box with step, 5-spoke Dayton wheels with black spokes, silver rims, and silver center caps. Spring rear suspension you can see right there. Quarter fenders are black, as are the mud flaps and brackets for the mud flaps. Tipped up like this, you can see there's your chrome deck plate and chrome step plate right there. Chrome air horns, and that's it. The roof lights are tampoed silver after they were molded into the cab, and then they tampoed a little yellow paint on the front for amber lenses. Really good job DCP did on this tooling. Round to the front, we don't even have a chrome grille. There is 2 more little chrome pieces, and that's the bezels that hold the individual jewel style headlights. Grab bars here are just wire loops, truck number of 937, and International right above the grille, which they painted in the body matched orange. Black bumper, individual jewel style turn signals, which are just amber painted. Really nice. Interior has 2 black seats, black steering wheel, and gray dashboard and gray bench in the back for the bunk. Really, really good job they've done on this. The visor here is also body matched orange. Passenger side, got your air intake here, big high mount like most cab overs had, painted silver. The elbows right there are painted in black, and then the front of the air intake, which is for the filter right here, is painted in silver, and then there's a step hanging off of it. Transtar II above this step, a little marker light, turn signal, logo, and all of the numbers. Also, the door handle latches to open the doors are tampoed silver. Black fuel tanks. Pretty much everything else the same on this guy. On the back, you've got your truck number, 937. You have your air lines and electric lines. And then there's the exhaust and the air intake. You can see the mud flaps. And then some DOT striping. Again, probably wouldn't have had DOT striping based on the age of the truck and the truck line. And then there is the 5th wheel set up for DCP first gear trailers. Underneath, air brake canisters on the rear axles, spring front suspension, spring rear suspension, and rear suspension does work a little. Bottom of the engine, bottom of the transmission, drive shafts, air tanks, all the detail you would expect underneath for a DCP. And then, being a DCP cab over, the cab does tilt. Now back then, they made the cab latches actually work correctly, and they really hold the cab down. So you got to pop them up pretty good to keep the cab off. But if you go too far, the cab will come right off the frame. It's easy to put back on, but you just want to be careful about it. Under the cab sits a V8 Detroit diesel. Big old non-turbocharged but supercharged engine. Really, really nice job they did on this truck. Now let's close them up and hitch them back up. And there we have it, the CO 4070B Transtar II by International. It is a DCP by First Gear release in the Fallen Flag series for Jones Truck Lines Inc., pulling the 40-foot vintage dry van trailer. Really, really sharp looking truck and a great addition to your collection.
Wasn't that a great model? Talk about a classy tribute to a former giant in the trucking industry. I also have one of these left to sell, and they are long sold out at DCP, so don't wait too long to grab it up with the link in the description down below. Once sold, the link will disappear forever. Harvey Jones and his wife Bernice were always civic-minded citizens and made themselves active in the local community. This sense of community was a key to the Jones' success and growth. In 1957, the Jones Foundation was established by Harvey and Bernice. The mission of the Jones Foundation was to provide scholarships to Springdale, Arkansas students. The foundation also made major donations to the University of Arkansas. After Harvey's death, Bernice built the Bernice and Harvey Jones Center for Families in Springdale. This center is located on the site of Jones Truck Lines operations. Being so civic-minded, the center was made available to anyone who wanted to use its sports and meeting facilities. The giant 220,000 square foot facility was funded entirely by Bernice Jones. Today, the center continues to provide sports facilities for people of the Springdale area, along with some office space for many nonprofits who provide needed services to the many in the community. I'm not so sure how I will get back from the 1920s Springdale to 2022 Kentucky. So make sure to subscribe and ring that bell to find out if I made it back. Also, take time to watch the other Fallen Flag series truck videos in my playlist with the link in the description below. I'm Logan, the 64, the Gear Jammer Skeele, and hopefully I'll be back with another video soon.